Everybody, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about how the rich use debt versus how us, the rest of us, the poor, the middle class, basically everyone else who's not super rich, super wealthy, tend to use debt and think about debt. And unfortunately, most of the poor and the middle class, we don't know how to use debt to get wealthy, and so we use it wrong and it causes problems. So we either think debt is bad and we don't use it at all, which is something that I've been guilty of for the last 10 years or so. Debt nearly crushed my business. After the crash in 2008, we were very debt heavy in our investment strategy, and so when the market corrected, it cost us a lot. We went penniless broke in 2008, and we had to fight like hell to make a comeback. And so because of that, we stopped using debt altogether. I didn't have a credit card until about a year and a half ago even. So thinking debt is bad is something that the poor and the middle class do. Another thing that's even worse than that is that the poor and middle class, they use debt to buy things that they don't need or that they can't afford. And so they're using debt to fund their lifestyle, which puts them into bondage. And it's an awful situation to get into. So Dave Ramsey has made a career out of telling people that do this how to get out of debt. And I think he's a blessing to people, but I think he misses the side of debt that can be good, where you can use debt to build wealth. And so that's what the rich, the wealthy, the super uber wealthy use debt. They use it as a powerful, powerful tool to create more wealth and prosperity. So as we get into this, I got a couple of quotes. I like this one from Grant Cardone. He says, money is useless until it is used. Grant Cardone says, money is useless until it is used. Then there's another one that I really like a lot. Money does what it's told to do. That's by the Flip-Flop Flipper, Robbie Krager. That's me. At least I think that's me. I do believe that money does what it's told, and I say it all the time on this channel. If you are not planning and telling your money what to do, then your money is planning to leave you. That's what it does, right? So if you just get money in and spend money out, or worse, use debt, money's going to be fleeting for you. Money's going to always be elusive for you. You're always going to be living paycheck to paycheck. We want to get you away from that. This channel is all about getting people out of the rat race, getting people away from the W-2 wage earning stuff, getting people away from the mindsets of saving to be wealthy. We don't believe in that, guys. We believe that you need to invest to be wealthy, and that debt could be a powerful tool to do it. I'm going to give you 3 ways that the rich use debt versus how the poor use debt. Guys, we just want to get you out of the rat race. We want to help you become a real estate investor. And so like and subscribe to the channel for that, guys. That's what we do. On this channel, we like to expand our business through partnerships. So this YouTube channel, we're not asking you for anything. We're not selling you books and tapes or anything. We do hope that through this community, one day we'll partner with many of you. Hopefully you will send me an email at theflipflopflipperpr@gmail.com if that's of interest to you. So we've got projects that we're always doing. We're always looking for partners, and that could be anything from someone who wants to run a guest house hotel to somebody who's got a whole bunch of money in a 401k and you want to make a better interest rate than you're currently getting. You want to have some ties to real estate because you know that that's how wealth is built. Let's get into it. The 3 ways the rich use debt versus the 3 ways that the poor and the middle class use debt. And number 1, rich people use debt as a tool. They use this debt as a tool to help them grow their wealth. So they use debt to buy assets, and their assets create cash flow. And then they reinvest the cash flow into more assets, and then they get the assets and they borrow against them to buy more assets, and they just keep leapfrogging, hopping and hopping and hopping this ladder of wealth. The rich use debt as a tool to grow their earning potential, to build their businesses, to buy real estate, to do many, many things that create passive income that they then reinvest and repeat. And they keep going on this cycle, and their wealth goes from here to here. And it's something that I would like to learn to do. I will tell you about me. I do not use debt properly, at least not at this point in life. I think back in the day, we used debt to buy real estate, and we thought that we were doing something good, but we weren't buying cash flowing real estate. We were buying real estate with the intention of just buy, fix it, and sell it. And so when the market corrected and we were no longer able to sell it at a profit and we didn't have any revenues coming in, we just had debt going out the door, and it was very painful. So I took that as a lesson that I only wanted to learn one time, and I just avoided debt altogether. Poor people use debt as a crutch. They use it as a crutch to buy things that they can't afford. And because they're buying things that they can't afford, they put themselves into a cycle of poverty, a cycle of paycheck to paycheck. We might call it the rat race. This is something that we're very against on this channel. We don't want you living in the rat race. I don't ever want to go back to living in the rat race. Remember the old saying, and we all on the poor and the middle class, this is a saying that's kind of been chiseled on our hearts, at least mine, that the borrower is slave to the lender. This is something that I've repeated to myself over a lifetime, right? And so for that reason, when debt crushed me in 2008, I can remember praying to God, let me learn this lesson only one time. So be very careful about how you use debt, and using it as a tool can be powerful, but you just still need to keep that in mind. I now would consider using debt on cash flowing assets and borrowing at a low level. So I was borrowing money to buy real estate that didn't cash flow, real estate that needed work. And we would fix this real estate up and then we would sell it. And we had a really good run. We had a long 10-year window where we made a lot of money. And on paper, I had a massive net worth. I had a massive net worth on paper, but I had millions of dollars in debt, and I had tons of money going out every month. And the only way that I paid for that debt service was by selling the next piece of real estate. So you can imagine summer of 2006, when it felt like the water faucet got turned off and I couldn't sell anything anymore. It just seemed like everything we sold, we were using to pay the debt. We were just treading water for a couple of years until we got to 2008, where we were penniless broke and didn't have anything else left to sell and didn't have anything else left to pay the debt with. It was an awful feeling. It was a terrible 2-year period of time. And I believe that moving into this next stage, that as I learn to use debt wisely and as a tool and to buy assets, so use good debt and not use bad debt, that it's going to be something that's going to help us to step up into something that will become what looks like, hopefully, generational wealth. Here's the last one, and so these kind of things kind of overlap a little bit. Rich people use debt to borrow against their businesses, to borrow against their real estate, to borrow against their stocks, their bonds, to borrow against their crypto even. And what they do by borrowing this money against these assets is that they're able to peel off money that they borrow from the bank or they borrow from an institution, and they take that money and they don't have to pay tax on that. So taxes are one of the most expensive things that you're ever going to pay in life. And if you work for W-2 income, which is what most of us do when we're in the poor and the middle class, it's the worst kind of income that you can have. The best kind of income that you can have, I guess, and I don't do this myself, but I'm trying to learn this thing, so you guys can comment below and tell me what you think of this idea of borrowing money against your businesses and against your stocks and all of this stuff to bring in and then use personally and not have to pay an income tax on it. So this is a huge savings. This is a powerful way that the super wealthy use debt in order to not pay the taxes, and it's not income. So right. So if you think about Elon Musk or the guy with Apple or any of these huge corporations, these multi-billionaires, they have a very small amount of revenue earned through W-2 income. So they probably take a salary at some level running some of these businesses and they pay normal tax on it, but they also use debt to live and to go through life and not have to pay tax on the very big portion of their income or their money. So I heard Robert Kiyosaki recently saying that he's $1.2 billion in debt, and he basically pays no income tax because he lives off of the debt, and the debt funds his cash flowing assets, and he just keeps stacking it up. And I think the important takeaway from this one is that borrowed money doesn't get taxed as income, versus us, we work for money. And so by working for money, we put ourselves in a position where we're paying the highest tax possible. So if you're working at a minimum wage job or you're working at a salaried job, that's the most expensive way that you can earn your money. So you're doing a couple things that we don't like. We're spending our time to get the money. The money is inflationary, just on fire. We've got other content on that. And then we're paying the highest taxes, especially if you're really well paid. So I have friends that make $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year in corporate America, and they pay they pay W-2 tax on that money, it's super, super expensive. They've got no write-offs. So then when I can convince them and get them investing in real estate, and they realize how much money they can save through depreciation and other tax benefits that come from owning real estate, their eyes just light up. They love it. All right, guys, so there were the 3 ways that the rich are using debt versus how poor and the middle class use debt. And I'm just gonna wrap it up and tie it in a neat little bow here for you. And if you get a takeaway from this video, here it is. If you're using debt to buy your watch, or to go on vacation, or to buy the car that you can't afford, or you're going out to dinner and you're putting it on a credit card, and then you're paying for that damn dinner for the next 2 years, that's bad debt, and that's not what you wanna do. That's how the poor and the middle class often use debt. You've got to get away from that. If you, on the other hand, can figure out how to get yourself into some value add real estate, get it cash flowing, making you some passive income, and then go to the bank, borrow the money against that asset, and keep some cash flow and buy the next asset, that's what the wealthy do. And that's what we want you guys to do on this channel. This is how we're going to make that transition from you living in the rat race to getting out of the rat race, becoming financially free and building wealth and leaving inheritance for your children's children. Guys, it's a beautiful life. Real estate investing has been a big win for myself, my family, and really everyone around me. And now we're going to learn how to use this debt properly, and we're going to do it together on this YouTube channel. So if you're into that, subscribe to the channel. Guys, God bless and have a good night.